This was truly a David versus Goliath battle. On the one side, you had the New South Wales Police Force bringing this application, together with the New South Wales Attorney General, Chris Minns, Labor Attorney General, and intervening or seeking leave to appear amicus curiae were two prominent pro-Israel lobby groups with an array of solicitors, counsel, senior counsel, and on the other side you have a group of community organisers and volunteers, activists, Jewish and Palestinian, and people from all walks of life coming together for a common cause, and that is to end the Holocaust of our time.
Thank you, David.
And they had the assistance of a few lawyers who were all working on a pro bono basis, without enough resources and probably without enough sleep as well. But we didn't take on this fight because we thought it was easy. We took it on because it's the right thing to do. As the evidence that we tendered in this case demonstrates, every major human rights organisation across the world has now concluded that there is a genocide taking place in Gaza, and that includes major Israeli human rights organisations. And Israel would not be able to carry out that genocide were it not for the complicity of Western governments, including the Albanese Australian government. And as Australian citizens, my clients believe that they have a moral obligation to take action and demand that this government end the two-way arms trade with Israel and impose sanctions on this genocidal regime. And by organising this rally, because they were the demands of the rally, and by organising this rally, they were standing on the right side of history. And by opposing this rally, the New South Wales Police Commissioner, the New South Wales Attorney General, and of course the pro-Israel lobby was standing on the wrong side of history. So while they may have obtained a victory today at the Court of Appeal, they have stood on the wrong side of history, and that's never a cause for celebration.
Their intervention.
Well, I think it's very clear that actually the Executive Council of Australian Jewry and the Jewish Board of Deputies are not here to intervene for the well-being of Jewish people at all. As is stated explicitly on their websites, they are here to advocate for the State of Israel, a foreign state currently committing genocide and arguably having been committed several of the acts of genocide since 1947. So I refute completely that they are here on any basis to do with Jewish safety or Jewish well-being. It's very, very clear. There was one affidavit submitted that spoke about Jewish fears among the community, and I will say this, that if the Jewish community at large, certainly not all of them, all of us, if the Jewish community at large chooses to stand on the side of an apartheid state committing genocide, then they have to deal with the ramifications of that, in that Australian people, by and large, do not support genocide and do not want to be complicit in that genocide through the actions of our government. This is not anti-Semitism. They need to take a reality check that their sense of safety is absolutely objectively not at issue. We are looking at a genocide in which recent estimates are up to 680,000 Palestinian people have been murdered by the State of Israel in a horrific live stream genocide. And here we have Jewish communal bodies saying that they feel upset by the fact that Australians, and let's face it, they are in an Australian community, they are upset that Australians are protesting a genocide.
Hello everyone, my name is Michelle Goldman and I'm the CEO of the New South Wales Jewish Board of Deputies. And I'm Simone Abel, I'm Head of Legal at the Executive Council of Australian Jewry. And this is a good day for the community. Firstly, we welcome the judgment, the decision of the court to prohibit the protest at the Opera House. And we have also just heard the historic news that a peace deal has been reached and that Hamas has agreed to release hostages, all live hostages, this weekend. But a few comments about the court decision. So the right to engage in public protest is fundamental, but it's not unlimited, and it has to be balanced with the right of all people. The first major Gaza protest took place at the forecourt of the Opera House just 2 days after the mass atrocities on Israel on October 7, 2023. And this protest was notorious for chants of F the Jews, for burning flags and other acts that desecrated a national icon and brought international condemnation on Australia. This protest also set the tone for many others that followed. They have taken over major public spaces on a weekly basis and made the city a no-go zone for Jewish Australians, or indeed for any other Australians that didn't share the views of the protesters. No citizens should be subjected to these kinds of restrictions. All Australians should be able to go about their life freely, with access to public spaces and without any fear, intimidation or harassment. Despite this, at no time in 2 years have we ever sought to legally challenge a proposed march or to alter its route. Even now, we are not attempting to stop people from protesting. But the protest organisers' calculated decision to locate this latest protest at the Sydney Opera House, given the horrific scenes that played out there on October the 9th, while our community was grieving, and to time it within days of the anniversary of the 7th of October atrocities, while we feel so vulnerable, is callous and reprehensible. This is why we welcome the decision of the court not to authorise the protest to take over the Opera House precinct and risk repeating the disgraceful scenes that took place there 2 years ago. Our community is deeply relieved, and we know from the many messages of support from many of you that we have received that you share our views. Thank you very much for your support.
All right, we are back at court again. It is now the 9th of October 2025, so it is actually the 2-year anniversary of when they did the original Sydney Opera House March, the unauthorised one, and this today will decide whether this one on the weekend will be authorised or unauthorised again. And I think from listening to it all, I'm no law expert or anything, but I think pretty much what it will do is if they deem it to be unlawful or unauthorised, it will mean that the police actions, they won't have the protections of the police. So they can, in essence, there's a guy having a snooze out the front here of the law courts. Good framing of that. Oh, 2 guys having a snooze. Yeah. Or it's a guy and his missus maybe. But so what it will mean is there won't be the protections, and if they go on the roadways and all that sort of business, they can be arrested for that. So there'll be the usual. There's the first there's a few supporters, very very limited number today so far, but it is 9 o'clock. It's not due till 9:30. I just got here in case there's going to be some sort of a media like some coverage, like a press conference, but that'll be afterwards. Here's the dude from, I believe it's Sky. Yeah, Sky News guy. Oh yeah, Sky News. He's got his coverage. So Sky News is very, very interested in this for their viewership. And then you've got this. She was here yesterday. I should get to know who all these guys are. There's 10. He's got his microphone in his pocket. So you got all the cameras are here. I think that's the ABC guy with this little cord hanging out the back of his shirt up there. So yeah, they'll all be here today for the result. Which will be coming up very shortly at probably, well, it won't take long, I don't think. It starts at 9:30. It's just clicked over 9 now. Oh, here's a guy, lady's getting her sign in the back of the Sky News. They're mogging the Sky News guys. So they'll just repeat it when everyone's inside the court, probably. Oh, they want. He's actually encouraging it now to get the footage in, but the other lady just took off. So they want. Yeah, it probably looks good for them that there's a supporter, not hundreds, which I'm kind of shocked there's not as many this time. But yeah, there's a lot more press. From day 1, a lot more press than supporters. Day 2, this lady's here every day. The others, maybe they are, I don't recognise them all. But anyway, it is the way it is. So it's time for me to go and grab a latte and settle in and wait. We'll see what happens. Yeah, that's it. Okay, enough. Looks like an event coming. Anyway, maybe that's the lawyers for the Executive Council of Australian Jury. Maybe whoops, missed that one anyway. I just saw the press got excited and the supporters got excited and a bit of movement. But normally the PAG people come from down the street here and walk up, so I used to catch them each time wherever the Hanna legal office is, somewhere down here. But I'd say that must have been the. Is this a guy? He's part of the Hanna legal. I should know everything. It's all right, but they don't look too interested in him anyway. So I can't see that he's. I think he is though. Or is he just? Yeah, they're filming him, so he's part of it. There's another supporter arriving. Snuck in from a different direction. Yeah, okay. I'll stay here and see what else happens. Well, I know who this one is, not the guy with the trolley, but I saw him. He's pointing. She's the barrister for the PAG. They normally come in with Amal, the PAG person. So the cameras are all on them. Even though it's not really that exciting, I guess. But it's not much else to do other than film it. The supporters are there. Not much cheering or anything today. So pretty much, I think it's probably. Oh, this is the executive board of. Oh, he's a solicitor for them. I thought he was a police. I think he's a police solicitor. He's down there. So that's the Rivkin is in the background there. So that it looks like the guy with the tats is a sort of a some bodyguard or something. But they're the Executive Council of Australian Jewry and the Jewish Board of Deputies. So he's got he's given their other bouncers given them the go ahead to come ahead. So they're going to come in now, sort of, and people are filming and yeah. So they gave they just were there to give a comment about it, called a funny word, I forgot the name of now. And yeah, they've got a big kind of bouncer guy, and then I don't know who the other guy is that gave him the nod to come ahead. It's all kind of a bit, when you think about it, it's all a little staged with the media heads all know each other and they're chatting. And now he's just chatting to Chris Reason from Channel 7 or 10. Primarily it's just a press thing. It's only the press wanting to get their shots and their video of it happening. So I think that's it. It could be her to come. Well, the protesters are going in too now, so pretty much I think that's it. Or the protesters, or the what do you call them? The man. Yeah. All right. I'll head in. All right. So we're out of the court, out of the lift now, coming out of the court. First lift down. So there'll be a big I'd say there'll be a big contingent down here because the answer is a no. It's not. It's a prohibited. It's going to be prohibited. So there's the expected media throng. Nobody's so keen for anyone that's coming out right now, and there's more and more and more and more and more. So you've got all the media set up now. You've got all the microphones set up. So I'd say there'll be quite a number of speeches because they'll want to hear from each of the groups. It's Channel 9 microphone. They've got to get theirs in the stand. You've got the Sky, ABC, the Furry microphone, Channel 9 coming down, and there's ABC cameraman rocking in a little late. And other various interested parties, I think, floating around from familiar faces from certain things, I think. Here's a Channel 10 mic coming in too. So he hasn't got there's this empty stand, so that's either him or the other channel. Anyway, this is me rabbiting. So it'll be a few minutes until it kicks off. So we will just walk around and film the media for a minute, and then we'll get in position and get a good shot of the try and get a reasonable shot of the speeches. It's just easy to get probably next to this first cameraman there. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, enough chit chat. There's one lady that's come out with there's a Sky thing, just go past the Sky News. There's one lady who has her sign. She's always on for a chat. But they're not. There's not much filming of her. They're mostly going to wait for they're all mostly waiting for the main contenders to come through. Yeah. Sorry, it was a bit dull for this. So you could get out of the way of the mainstream media. back through. Yeah, I'm surprised the Palestine supporters aren't here in earnest today. It would seem that they have the opportunity to come and support. Even the lady that put it through, Amal Nassar, even she didn't even show today, so I'm not sure. But this is where they'll come out of. I don't know who's who. I think this guy, he's the little fella. He's like the someone told me he's like the bouncer. This is for the board of deputies. I could be wrong about that, but someone said that to me. And then here's the supporters for the guy. That's the guy who gave the thumbs down, saying that it was a no, which I think everyone probably knows by now. So they'll film them. That's film worthy. Them coming out looking a bit dour. Oh, he's got his fist in the air. Got a fist, yeah. But a very limited number of supporters there. There was half a dozen. Anyone else? So he's got a sign. A disgraceful stain on the integrity of the court. Okay, there you go. He had a pre-prepared sign. What do we got here? I don't know. It's poor anyone who's just a random coming out is is copping it now. All right, I'll stop until I see someone. See, nobody waits around here to see who's coming. I'll do that. I'll just wait there. So this is the PAG contingent. There's the lawyer. There's the Greens candidate, whatever her name is, Sue Higginson, and the lady from the Jews for 1948 Jews, is what it falls something or other. She's from the Students for Palestine. Damien is in charge of it. So they'll be the first to hit the press conference. Get a bit of a cheer from the waiting supporters.
Hi everyone, I'm Damien Ridgewell, one of the activists with the Palestine Action Group. Coming out today to announce that we'll go through the details of the ruling.
A little bit of scuffling with the media.
We'll go through the details of the ruling in a second, but first it's important to announce that we have a legal demonstration which will be taking place on Sunday, October 12th at 1 p.m. from Hyde Park with a negotiated route with the police. We will be marching through the city down George Street. We're going to fill George Street with people demanding an end to this genocide, an end to the trade of military hardware and equipment to a country which has killed hundreds of thousands of people in the last 2 years, tens of thousands of children. And we'll also be calling on that day for Crispins to light up the Opera House in the colours of the Palestinian flag. We've heard a lot about how the Opera House forecourt can only hold no more than 6,000 people. Well, 19,000 Palestinian children have been killed by the Israeli military in the last 2 years. It is time for our government to show that it stands on the side of those people who've lost their lives to this horrific genocide. Obviously, the court proceedings did not go our way today, and we won't be marching to the Opera House. But we know that courts often get things wrong. That's why we have appeals. And it also highlights the urgent need in this state for urgent legal reform around the rights to protest. Our right to protest is paramount in a democratic society, and the campaign in solidarity with Palestine has been absolutely an example about why we need to enshrine the right to protest in our legal system, so that people who are trying to use our democratic rights to stop genocides are not constantly face attempts to block them by the police and political institutions.
But Damien, aren't you missing the point here? They're allowing you to demonstrate. It's just not at the Opera House where they say it's unsafe.
Yeah, and as our argument went through in the court, is that actually it matters in politics about messaging and symbols and where people protest. The Harbour Bridge March, as we saw, was a massive turning point around the discussion for Palestine and Israel's genocide, because we saw hundreds of thousands of people march on the Harbour Bridge. If Chris Minns had his way, that event never would have taken place, and I'm sure the political landscape around the question would be very different.
Damien,
so that's why it does matter where people are able to protest and are not just diverted into whatever is convenient to the state government or the police.
Damien, if there's a ceasefire in the next 48 hours, is there still a need to protest, and why?
Yes, because this goes beyond just the genocide over the last 2 years. Obviously, it's important because Israel has only been able to carry out a genocide because they have been armed by countries like Australia and the United States because of the political support that they've received from those governments. We've seen hundreds of thousands of Palestinians have lost their lives because of that complicity. We need to end the policy of complicity with an apartheid regime which has been oppressing Palestinians since 1947. That's what's led to this point. And so even if there is a ceasefire, and I hope that there is a ceasefire, but I also am very skeptical, as Israel has not actually given any guarantees that they will ceasefire, that we will still need to fight to try and end this complicity with an apartheid
Damien, do you believe that the decision was on...
For Sunday's protest, or is that already agreed to?
Yes, we will be submitting a Form 1, which has been negotiated with the police, and they've agreed to those particulars.
You mentioned an appeal. You're not going to try and appeal this decision. You're going to still try, attempt to demonstrate at the Opera House, don't you? Have you abandoned that now for the future? Is that gone, dead?
No, we can reserve our decision about appealing, but for Sunday we'll be demonstrating, as I detailed, that we'll be marching down George Street to Belmore Park.
What about the finding that in circumstances like this, the prohibition from the court goes further than has been the assumption now? You will be in contempt of court if a protest like this or the Harbour Bridge is prohibited and then you go ahead with it anyway. Is that a concern?
In terms of what I can express, the views I can express about the judgment of the Court of Appeal, but can I say that I think that it would be understandable for many Australians to be very concerned about that aspect of the judgment, and that it doesn't matter whether your cause is ending the genocide in Gaza, or whether it's protesting against racism, or for a pay rise as a union member. This judgment will have very important ramifications for the right to protest in Australia, and that's why I think that it should be carefully considered by all groups that have an interest in protecting the democratic values on which our society is based.
And so just to be clear, you said...
Sorry, I missed that question.
Would you take that to the High Court? Would you try and fight that?
Well, I'm a lawyer, so I need someone to instruct me to do that. But I think that many groups will have an interest in seeking to take that to the High Court. Yes.
Mr. Graham said yesterday that were the court to do this, it would undermine potential Form 1 system. Then, if you'd like to comment on how...
Yes, I can comment on that. So the decision today is to the effect that where protesters submit a Form 1 to seek the immunities that the Form 1 system offers, that is the immunity from and the protection from prosecution for certain criminal offences, that the Court of Appeal now has the power to prohibit such an assembly, and that anyone who is aware of the decision to prohibit the assembly, that attends the assembly regardless, will now be guilty, according to this judgment, of the very serious criminal offence of contempt. And that hasn't been the understanding of both the police and protesters previously, and it's for that precise reason that I think that anyone who is concerned about the right to protest in this country has a very strong interest in considering and challenging this judgment.
Damien, do you believe this was strictly, this decision was on safety grounds, or was there political pressure upon them?
I can't comment on the decision-making process of the Supreme Court.
What about the police bringing it to the court?
Sorry?
What about the police bringing the case to the court?
Well, we disagreed with the arguments that the police raised around this. We think that there were the measures in place that would have been able to have a safe demonstration to the Opera House. They're in what goes through their mind to make that decision. It's like not up to me to speculate. I think the key take-home message at the moment, though, is that on October 12th there will be a massive demonstration in Sydney to demand an end to the genocide and to demand that Israel be held accountable for the genocide they've committed over the last 2 years. We've seen a massive transition in public opinion in Australia of people in sympathy with the Palestinians by what we've seen over the last 2 years. Now, a majority of people in this country think Israel should be sanctioned. A majority of people think that there should be a ban on weapons trades with Israel. A majority of people believe, truthfully, that Israel has committed a genocide, which has been the finding of the United Nations independent inquiry. We're seeing a historic tide of popular opinion by people standing against the oppression of the Palestinians, standing for freedom for Palestinians. It's been far too long in the coming, but our movement will be continuing until we see a free Palestine. So we urge everyone to join us on the streets to fill the city at 1 o'clock on October 12th at Hyde Park. Fill the city with Palestinian flags to stand for justice and liberation.
Premier Chris Minns has doubled down and said that he would light up the sails of the Opera House again with the Israeli flag. What do you say to that? And is your request to light up the sails of the Opera House with the Palestinian flag maybe falling on deaf ears with this Premier?
Well, we know Chris Minns is no friend to the Palestinian people by his track record. I think it would be a disgrace if he lights up the Opera House with the Israeli flag after they've committed a genocide for 2 years, that they've killed potentially hundreds of thousands of people, 19,000 children. They have absolutely destroyed the Gaza Strip over the last 2 years. To light up the Opera House in the colours of that flag would be an endorsement of that criminal activity of the Israeli state. We're calling for him to stand in solidarity with the people who are the victims of that genocide, and the only just thing he could do is light up the Opera House in the colours of the Palestinian flag instead.
The moment that Chris Minns can actually make a decision to stand on the right side of history. This Sunday, he's got his way. There won't be a march for the Palestinian people and against Israel's genocide to the Sydney Opera House this Sunday. The one thing he can do as Premier of this state is reflect on the incredible march for humanity across the Sydney Harbour Bridge. He can reflect on the international courts and all of the decisions that have come out declaring the genocide, the facts, the starving children, the mothers, and all the people in New South Wales who want to see an end to this brutal genocide. He can do one small action, and that is light the sails of the Sydney Opera House on Sunday in the colours of the Palestinian flag. This is what we are calling Chris Minns to do. I think also it's fair to say, anybody who watched carefully the proceedings of yesterday, when you look at the evidence that was presented around crowd crush and public safety, we heard from one police witness who said in his evidence, "I am not an expert on crowd crush," and yet the court has made a finding that for the sake of public safety and crowd crush, that this protest can't go ahead at the Sydney Opera House. I think there is a lot to analyse and observe in this judgment, and there is genuine concern now for all people in New South Wales about the right to protest, and never before has there been a more glaring, obvious point in time that we now need reform on the right to protest, because we know it is enshrined within our constitution. We have an implied freedom, an implied right of political communication, and that includes our right as the people to gather on public places and protest together. In the face of a genocide, it is alarming this state would choose that the people cannot exercise that right in the way they choose this Sunday. But you've heard it.
Question then. Have you now, because of this action, you're taking this to court, and now this landmark decision coming down from the highest court in the state, you've now really impacted, potentially ruined, the chances of future other groups, interest groups, to demonstrate and rally on their points.
No, the police have done that. The police of New South Wales have done that. No, the police of New South Wales brought this action.
You wanted to march down the Opera House.
The police of New South Wales brought this action.
No, you're right, sorry. If you look at the judgment, it makes it very clear who the plaintiff is, and it's the Commissioner of Police of New South Wales. They're the ones. No, I'm being accurate.
But your move to get down to the Opera House and protest there has now changed the law effectively against a lot of interest groups in the future.
No, that's just not correct. The police stood on the stand in the Banco Court of New South Wales in front of the full bench, the bench of the Court of Appeal, and they are the ones that said this cannot and should not go ahead. And while they did that, they said the reason it shouldn't go ahead is because of the risk of crowd crush, and then proceeded to provide evidence saying that they are not experts on crowd crush. People need to think very hard about what happened yesterday and the judgment that ensued today. This is not the end of it, and that is for certain.
Sue,
I'd like to ask Michelle a question. Michelle,
Absolutely, I think that there is no doubt with a Human Rights Act in New South Wales. We are the only state in this country that doesn't have a Human Rights Act that enshrines the right to protest. And then, yes, of course, we can continue to have discussions about protests and how they are held and safety and all of those reasonable arguments. But we need to enshrine the actual fundamental right of people to be able to assemble on public land and express their views on political matters. There is no doubt.
Sue, does the New South Wales Parliament...
Wendy has a question. We'll take a question from Wendy, please.
Yesterday, the Executive Council of Australian Jury was here trying to intervene in the case on behalf of Jewish people. You're also a Jewish person. Why are you here, and what did you think of their intervention?
Well, I think it's very clear that actually the Executive Council of Australian Jury and the Jewish Board of Deputies are not here to intervene for the well-being of Jewish people at all. As is stated explicitly on their websites, they are here to advocate for the State of Israel, a foreign state currently committing genocide and arguably having been committed several of the acts of genocide since 1947. So I refute completely that they are here on any basis to do with Jewish safety or Jewish well-being. It's very, very clear. There was one affidavit submitted that spoke about Jewish fears among the community, and I will say this, that if the Jewish community at large, certainly not all of them, all of us, if the Jewish community at large chooses to stand on the side of an apartheid state committing genocide, then they have to deal with the ramifications of that, in that Australian people, by and large, do not support genocide and do not want to be complicit in that genocide through the actions of our government. This is not anti-Semitism. They need to take a reality check that their sense of safety is absolutely objectively not at issue. We are looking at a genocide in which recent estimates are up to 680,000 Palestinian people have been murdered by the State of Israel in a horrific live stream genocide. And here we have Jewish communal bodies saying that they feel upset by the fact that Australians, and let's face it, they are in an Australian community, they are upset that Australians are protesting a genocide.
Can I just add something in relation to the involvement? Just in relation to the involvement of the ECAJ, this was truly a David versus Goliath battle. On the one side, you had the New South Wales Police Force bringing this application, together with the New South Wales Attorney General, Chris Minns, Labor Attorney General, and intervening or seeking leave to appear amicus curiae were two prominent pro-Israel lobby groups with an array of solicitors, counsel, senior counsel, and on the other side you have a group of community organisers and volunteers, activists, Jewish and Palestinian, and people from all walks of life coming together for a common cause, and that is to end the Holocaust of our time.
Thank you, David.
And they had the assistance of a few lawyers who were all working on a pro bono basis, without enough resources and probably without enough sleep as well. But we didn't take on this fight because we thought it was easy. We took it on because it's the right thing to do. As the evidence that we tendered in this case demonstrates, every major human rights organisation across the world has now concluded that there is a genocide taking place in Gaza, and that includes major Israeli human rights organisations. And Israel would not be able to carry out that genocide were it not for the complicity of Western governments, including the Albanese Australian government. And as Australian citizens, my clients believe that they have a moral obligation to take action and demand that this government end the two-way arms trade with Israel and impose sanctions on this genocidal regime. And by organising this rally, because they were the demands of the rally, and by organising this rally, they were standing on the right side of history. And by opposing this rally, the New South Wales Police Commissioner, the New South Wales Attorney General, and of course the pro-Israel lobby was standing on the wrong side of history. So while they may have obtained a victory today at the Court of Appeal, they have stood on the wrong side of history, and that's never a cause for celebration.
So, one more question for David. Even though you've redirected the march, are you at all concerned that some protesters may still go to the Opera House on Sunday and may risk, potential legal consequences or whatever else? That's not a concern of mine. I think sort of overwhelmingly we've demonstrated that people in our movement are determined to use the democratic freedoms that we have available to fight for change in this country. But we are standing with the majority of people to oppose what is an unjust support for a genocide. If individuals decide to use their freedoms to walk around the city unimpeded by police, that's up to them.
Look, it's very hard to predict how people will respond. I think people are fundamentally good, that they know they have a right to protest, and that whenever organisers of large gatherings and protests and assemblies take that action, they do so with responsibility. If they believe they need to engage with the police and go down the Form 1 path, they will. But the reality is, people know we have a right to protest, and yes, this may well have a chilling effect on people engaging in the summary offences Form 1 process, seeking the immunity that would ordinarily be provided by a Form 1. And these are the ramifications that I'm not sure the Court of Appeal has genuinely considered. There is a chilling effect when we see these kind of judgments that ultimately take a draconian approach to the fundamental right for people to protest.
Sue, does the New South Wales state recognise occupied Palestine?
Thank you.
Does the state of New South Wales recognise occupied Palestine now?
As I understand it, the federal government has taken moves internationally to recognise, but there is nothing but silence from the Premier, Chris Minns of New South Wales.
I'd like to say, can I add something as well here? Sorry, the question was raised earlier that how do we feel if a ceasefire is announced and may actually come into force, who knows? And I will say this, that this fight does not end with a ceasefire. As we can see by the influence and presence of the Israel lobby in this court proceeding, we have a long fight ahead of us to ensure that this insidious influence is actually removed from our society, from the Australian political process as a whole. And then we will not be stopping just because there's a ceasefire, although that is something obviously that we want to see for the people of Palestine. We will continue this fight until we can stand as Australians for our own political and social processes.
This is a multicultural...
Oh, shut up.
And everybody should have the rights, and everybody should have the rights to live in a safe environment. And do not bring another fight to you.
I'd like to ask Nick. All right, I'll ask Nick. I just want to ask Nick, it came to light during this case that there are in fact bylaws governing the Opera House that I don't think anyone knew about, which means, according to my reading of it, you maybe can't put up a placard or even a flag, if you're near the Opera House. That would seem to be a huge infringement of the right to communication. Is there a potential to challenge that, do you think, at some stage in the future? Or is it important to?
Well, we sought to do just that in the course of the argument yesterday. I haven't had a chance to review the judgment properly, but it doesn't appear that issue has been anything close to resolved.
I think they said it's not resolved.
And so it remains open to be challenged, and I imagine that there will be people interested in doing so. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Kat. Well done.
Well done.
Well done. And free Australia from
safety while you make the rest of the community unsafe.
Why are you upset, sir? Why are you upset?
Why am I upset? Because I feel unsafe.
Why?
In a country,
Why do you feel unsafe?
Because I feel that my
See,
safety is jeopardized.
By who?
By these protests. That
Have you ever
that are
been attacked?
unacceptable.
Have you ever been attacked, sir?
No, but I felt uncomfortable.
You feel uncomfortable?
Yes.
So you should, because you feel uncomfortable, they should
And
not
I've been
protest?
abused. Yes, I have been abused.
They should not protest?
When I've been walking past the park, and I've walked past, and people are attacking my people, that's unacceptable.
And genocide, do you believe there's a genocide happening?
No, I don't.
Do you believe?
I believe war is a
Palestine-
I
do you think
believe war is a
Palestine's
terror.
occupied? Is Palestine occupied?
What's Palestine?
No, you don't realise Palestine.
What is Palestine?
Are you explicit?
Sorry?
Are you explicit?
I don't know what that means.
Do you believe in the right of return for Jewish people to Israel?
I absolutely do.
Do you believe the right of return for non-Jewish people to Palestine?
I absolutely do.
So
But
this
where's
Palestinian
Palestine?
man,
No, what?
he's from Palestine. Can he
Yes.
go back to Palestine and take citizenship, or any of your children can?
Where's Palestine?
The book of Joshua 13 verses 1 and 2, Palestine.
What is Palestine?
The
Is
book of
Palestine,
Joshua
is
13.
Palestine West Bank?
It's occupied
All
Palestine at the moment.
Palestine.
It's
From
occupied.
the river to the sea.
From
It's
the Jordan River
occupied.
to the
So
Mediterranean
that
Sea.
means that there's no Israel.
No.
There's no such thing as
No,
Israel.
When was
no,
Israel
no.
founded?
Oh, sorry?
When was Israel founded? 1947.
I'm not a
Ben Gurion.
historian.
Who was the prime minister of Israel before Ben Gurion?
Golden Gurion was.
No, Ben Gurion was the
I
first
don't know.
one,
I'm
he's from the
I'm not a
Ukraine.
historian.
Golden Meir was from Ukraine.
And where
as well.
was he? And where was her family from?
Ukraine.
And where was her family from?
Yeah, the Ukraine.
You don't know.
They'll-
Don't tell me
they-
that.
Are
Are you telling me that? Are you telling me that Golda Meir's grandmother was from Ukraine?
They're from Eastern Europe.
Her grandmother.
Her parents.
Her grandmother.
Her
Golda Meir's
parents.
grandmother.
Where was she from?
Where was Golda Meir's grandmother
She
from?
had a Palestinian citizenship. You know that?
Yes, she did.
She did.
And Palestine,
So why don't you
Palestine at that
recognise
time,
it?
Palestine's name was
You're
created.
just committing genocide with your tongue.
Palestine's name.
This is tongue genocide.
In the Torah.
Sorry?
It's in the Torah. It's in the Torah.
What's in the Torah?
It's in the Torah.
What's in the Torah?
Palestine. John, the book of Joshua 13, verses 2 and 3.
And Israel's not in the Israel's not in the Tanakh. Is Israel in the Tanakh? Is Israel in the Tanakh? Is Israel in the Tanakh?
It is. Does that justify
Israel
genocide?
is in the Tanakh.
It is.
Really?
So does that justify genocide though?
I don't believe there is a genocide. War is. It does that justify?
It's a war. So was
Is
October 7 a genocide?
I believe that Hamas is the only company, is the only organization that was causing genocide. It
Palestinian
was the
Holocaust.
cause of a genocide.
So October 7 was genocide.
1,200 people in a day.
No, actually,
How many
the
Apaches-
IDF
how many Apaches killed them?
The IDF is actually acknowledged, even in the Hebrew press, to have been responsible for hundreds of those deaths through their.
And the other
Apache-
900?
Relax, sir.
And the other 900.
Yeah. So Hamas didn't actually murder people in a
Of course
day.
it did.
No, so
That's-
and
that's
that's
an
acceptable.
anti-colonial uprising.
And that's an act.
No one said it's acceptable.
The only colonialists were the
British.
Muslims that came in before the Ottoman Empire.
Oh,
that
so-
there was.
So
By
they did
that
genocide.
logic,
They
we all need to turn up back to the Okavango Valley.
But the
and
Ottomans-
say, we
the Ottomans
belong
didn't
here.
genocide.
But Israel exists. Israel.
And the Ottomans, there was Jewish people and Christians.
Oh, that's your opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And in my
unfortunately.
opinion, Israel exists fortunately.
Well, there you go.
And yeah, that's right, exactly. And I'm a proud Zionist.
Good on you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have the courage to say I'm a proud
I
racist.
am. No, but are you a proud Palestinian murderer?
Ooh.
Are
You just,
you?
that's anti-Semitic, sir.
That's a really.
Michelle's
I'm not saying
Michelle's Jewish.
I'm
That's
not
very
saying
anti-Semitic,
Palestinians
sir.
are murderers. Are you a murderer?
Well, obviously.
Do you
I don't
support
think
murderers?
Obviously
I
you
support
do.
the Palestinian
Oh, so do you
resistance.
support Hamas?
I support Palestinian
Do you support
resistance.
Hamas?
I support the
So do you?
Palestinian
So that
resistance.
means you support Hamas. Say it. Are you
No,
ashamed
no.
to say that?
It's illegal
you
to
support
say that,
Hamas?
sir.
Say you.
It's illegal to say that,
that
sir.
you support
Say
Hamas.
something that will get
Say
me
that you
into trouble
support
with
Hamas. Oh, so you do support Hamas, but it's
I
illegal.
support the Palestinian resistance.
You're an embarrassment.
Do you know who the embarrassment is? It's you.
Oh, that's fine.
It's a shock. It's a shock.
I'm
I
proud
would
to be
think,
Jewish.
I'm
I'm
Jewish,
proud to be
proud
Australian.
Palestinian.
I'm proud to be
support the
Australian.
Palestinians.
I also support Palestinians
Where?
Outside of
who
Palestine.
are peaceful. Oh, really? Where did I say that?
I didn't. I'm
Because
asking you.
the
if
So
they
you
did.
suggesting?
I'm suggesting that you
the
are an
only
embarrassment.
alternative, the only
Embarrassment to the Jewish
alternative
community.
that Israel offers Palestinians is either to to be silent and accept their dispossession, their oppression.
So you
their
believe in
rape,
do
their
you believe in
murder,
the state of
or-
Israel? Do you believe in the state?
Absolutely
So you
not.
believe Israel
No.
should not exist?
I certainly
You don't believe the Jews have the right to a
One state
homeland,
solution,
the
sir.
same
One state
as
solution.
the
No, I don't. For all.
The Muslims have the rights to.
Do they?
Yes, they do.
I don't believe
The Muslims
any.
have a right to live in an Arab state.
What? There's a difference between an Arab state and a Muslim
They have a right
state.
to live
And
in Palestine.
Israel is an apartheid Jewish supremacist state.
Are Jews
under
allowed to
which
be citizens of
Iran?
no,
Yes.
of Iran and Iraq? They
Yes.
go and
Actually,
There's
no.
30,000.
There's
There's 30,000 Iranians.
30,000 Iranian
And what
Jews.
about in Egypt?
Yes, there
Jews
is.
in Egypt.
How many citizens are in Egypt?
I don't know them.
Are there more than 100?
30,000 in Iran,
I
sir.
don't believe they are.
Iran.
I'm
30,000.
talking about Egypt.
Let's talk about
How
Iran
many, let's
first.
talk about Egypt.
Yes, the
How
Iran.
many Jewish citizens are in Egypt?
What's that got to do with genocide?
How many
Does
Jews?
that justify genocide?
I'll tell you exactly.
Does that justify
yeah,
genocide?
I'll tell you about genocide.
You're a
I'll tell you
supremacist,
about
sir. You're a supremacist.
Before the Jews were
What type of supremacist are
excommunicated
you?
from Egypt. Sorry.
You need to be de-radicalized. There's a
I'm
de-radicalization
a very
program in New South Wales Police.
You're advocating
Oh, sorry.
Can everybody shift?
We'll just end it.
So is there such a thing as a Muslim state?
Thanks, everyone.
We're just going to do another press conference.
Thank you.
You're right. No, you're right.
Thanks, guys.
I know the flood's going.
All right, so that was a little exciting. Oh, it's still on, but he's going to ride the bike. So the press has moved their thing around, and this guy is he's I'm not sure who he is, but like I said, someone told me he's part of the AJA security group. So obviously the next people to come out for the press conference will be the all right, so it's eased off now. It's eased off. He's going to get on his bike, and off he'll go. Yeah, it's good to hear. This is good to have. You know, the people can express their opinion, and you know he has a different opinion to the others, and you know it's good to hear, good to have. All right, so let's wait on the press conference now. I'm assuming because he seems to be running things. He's on the phone now, so I think he rings them and says, yeah, it's all safe. It's all safe to come down. Oh, he's gone back. He's gone back for more. I think he's gone back for more, but
I'm originally, my grandparents were originally from Egypt, and I was excommunicated from this.
there's going to be some remarks about all right, so it's hard to know. So it's funny how he can just run the show. So, yeah. Anyway, if people listen to him, I guess they'll do what they do. Oh God, here we go. It's on again still. It's never ending. It's never ending. It's going to continue.
Just leave us alone. Can you leave us
I think.
Stop abusing my kids. We're not speaking.
And the gentleman's asking him to stop approaching them, which I guess I think it's time to wind it up. So we'll see. We'll see if it gets wound up or not. Okay, that's his last word, I think. You get a few more. Yeah, a few more.
Because my wife was attacked. Why was she attacked? She was a doctor in a hospital, in a black hospital, and she was attacked.
Okay, and so you left?
Is South Africa apartheid?
Sorry?
Well, South Africa was.
Is South Africa?
Was
no, it
South
wasn't.
Africa?
It was.
It was?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is Israel apartheid?
Is Israel apartheid?
Think about it.
I'm not sure. I haven't thought about it, but I do believe that let me ask you a question.
No, answer that.
Is Egypt apartheid?
Answer that. Is Israel apartheid?
You keep engaging with him, and you know what you're going to get.
Let me ask you a question. Is Iran? Let me ask you a question.
I think the other ones won't come out until. See, the bouncer guy. The bouncer guy won't give them the. He's on the phone over there behind the Sky News bloke, and he won't give it the go. Covering his mouth while he talks now to say whatever he's saying, but he won't. I don't think he'll give them permission to come out until it's safe to do so. Until this has been finalised. But they're trying to say just stop engaging, and then he might just wander off of his own accord. But whether he does or not, it's we'll wait and see. I think he'll just leave when he's ready to go. And yeah, but AJ, oh, another shake. Just the same thing. He's
You've put. Honestly, I'm not a police officer.
Anyway, this guy's moved them. He's moved them back a fair bit now. And is anyone going to come? We'll wait and see. There'll be another press conference. I'm going to pause and we'll come back to this again. All right, we're back again. We're waiting on the Emeritus group, which is made up of the Jewish Board of Deputies and the Australian Council of Jury, or Executive Council of Jury, Executive Council of Australian Jury. I think I'm going off memory here, and you've still got this fellow engaging over here. The group of supporters are sort of wandering off. The PAG supporters are now wandering off, so they won't be here for the next press conference. I'm not sure if it's organised by this guy in the black who seems to be running. He seems to be running everything. He seems to be like the mediator between the media and the two Jewish groups. But they're all in a holding pattern now. They filmed their kerfuffle for a while. He's off now. He's off. So the guy's off. He's away. He's still following down. He's following the same way as the other group. So hopefully that's the end of that. But yeah, we shall see. We'll wait till the next one comes out. All right, this is the other groups coming out now.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Michelle Goldman and I'm the CEO of the New South Wales Jewish Board of Deputies. And I'm Simone Abel, I'm Head of Legal at the Executive Council of Australian Jury. And this is a good day for the community. Firstly, we welcome the judgment, the decision of the court to prohibit the protest at the Opera House. And we have also just heard the historic news that a peace deal has been reached and that Hamas has agreed to release hostages, all live hostages this weekend. But a few comments about the court decision. So the right to engage in public protest is fundamental, but it's not unlimited, and it has to be balanced with the right of all people. The first major Gaza protest took place at the forecourt of the Opera House just 2 days after the mass atrocities on Israel on October 7, 2023. And this protest was notorious for chants of F the Jews, for burning flags and other acts that desecrated a national icon and brought international condemnation on Australia. This protest also set the tone for many others that followed. They have taken over major public spaces on a weekly basis and made the city a no-go zone for Jewish Australians, or indeed for any other Australians that didn't share the views of the protesters. No citizens should be subjected to these kinds of restrictions. All Australians should be able to go about their life freely, with access to public spaces, and without any fear, intimidation, or harassment.
Despite this, at no time in 2 years have we ever sought to legally challenge a proposed march or to alter its route. Even now, we are not attempting to stop people from protesting. But the protest organisers' calculated decision to locate this latest protest at the Sydney Opera House, given the horrific scenes that played out there on October the 9th, while our community was grieving, and to time it within days of the anniversary of the 7th of October atrocities, while we feel so vulnerable, is callous and reprehensible. This is why we welcome the decision of the court not to authorise the protest to take over the Opera House precinct and risk repeating the disgraceful scenes that took place there 2 years ago. Our community is deeply relieved, and we know from the many messages of support from many of you that we have received that you share our views. Thank you very much for your support.
Organisers say that they're going to still march, but the route's going to change to George Street. Do you have a view on that? Is that still as sensitive as the Opera House location?
We were never about banning a protest. Over 2 years, we have put up and endured with protests almost on a weekly basis across our city streets and public spaces. This was about the insensitivity of protests at the Opera House, at a site where we saw some really distressing scenes 2 years ago, and in the very week where the Jewish community is commemorating the anniversary of a day which saw the largest loss of Jewish lives since the Holocaust.
Sorry to interrupt. We asked the protesters, if there's a ceasefire in the next 48 hours, is there still a need to protest? And the Palestine Action Group said that this goes beyond the past 2 years. What's your reaction to that they're protesting even though that we're going to get a ceasefire and the fighting may stop?
Well, I think it really goes to the motivation of the protesters, and I would have been asking that question a few days ago. We had a peace deal on the table. The US, Israel, and indeed all the Arab nations had agreed to it. There was conspicuously one party absent, and that was Hamas. This morning's news is historic, and the fact that Hamas have finally come to the table and agreed to a ceasefire. You've got to ask, if people really cared about the Palestinian people in Gaza, would they not be celebrating the end of the war and the ability for the hostages to be returned and for Palestinians in Gaza to have an opportunity to start to rebuild their lives?
The lawyer for the Palestine Action Group described this court case here in the Supreme Court as a David and Goliath battle. On one side you had police, Premier, Attorney General and the Jewish community against the pro-Palestine groups. What do you say to that?
I think this has never been a David and Goliath battle. We are a tiny sliver of the Australian public, and we have endured over 1,178 pro-Palestine protests over this period. You have not seen our community out in droves shouting, protesting, intimidating, creating fear amongst the public. If these individuals were really about human rights and free speech, they would tolerate dissenting views and other opinions. But instead, they've dominated public spaces, they've silenced us, and they've silenced other Australians.
A number of Jewish people have attended these rallies the past 2 years, and some of them have participated in the pro-Palestinian side of this challenge. Is there unanimity behind your opposition to the way things have been conducted by the pro-Palestinian group, given that part of the Jewish population that's been in support of it?
There's never unanimity in any community. There are always voices of dissent, and that is what democracy is all about, and we certainly don't seek to silence them. But Michelle and I are representatives of the peak Australian and New South Wales Jewish community organisations respectively, and we represent the heartland of the Jewish community. Schools, synagogues, sporting associations, women's organisations, cultural organisations. This is who we are, and of course we have grieved for the suffering not only of Israelis and Jewish people, but also of innocent Palestinian civilians, and we are so thrilled that this war is finally coming to an end.
In court, you made representations about the fear and unrest in the community. Can you expand on the practical impacts of that, or what the community feels by these protests? Are people avoiding the area?
Absolutely, it's impacted on all aspects of people's lives. So firstly, there's the psychological impact. People have dealt with everything from anxiety to not being able to express their identity freely. We've had Jewish people who, for religious reasons, wear a head covering, a kippah, that have been unable to or fearful to do so in public. And indeed, when they've gone out as proud Jews, they've been the subject of harassment. We've had Jewish school children who've been scared to wear their Jewish school uniforms outside of school for fear of being harassed and intimidated on buses. We've had cars driving past Jewish schools chanting things. So in public spaces, Many Jewish people have felt afraid coming into the city on the weekend. They've felt unsafe because of the intimidation, the chants, the posters, the placards that have had clear anti-Jewish sentiment.
You know, the protesters have redirected the march. They've said they'll move to George Street. Would you still be concerned that some groups or splinters might still travel to the Opera House on Sunday?
Yeah, I think so.
Just in the middle for us, Alex, thanks.
I think that's still a concern, and when you look at what happened in 2023 in October, you had the core protest and then the even more extreme elements peeling off. So, you know, there's always the risk of that, there's always the risk of outliers, but we hope that people will abide by the orders of the court, and we hope that the police will do what needs to be done to protect the public, protect the community, and uphold public order.
Alex, what do you say to the... sorry.
So what do you make of some of the stricter protest provisions that this judgment had around potential contempt of court charges for...
I might let Simone take that.
Let's see how this plays out. I think it's really important in a functioning democracy that we balance the right to public assembly and political expression with the rights of other people to enjoy their freedoms. And I have no doubt that the police will act in a very measured way, as they have done for the last 2 years, and they will enable people to express and fulfill those rights in the way that they ought to, but at the same time we all need to feel safe.
Alex, what do you say to the proposition they put today, the Palestinian group, that back on October 7, 2023, they lit up the sails of the Opera House with the Israeli flag. They're now saying that the Palestinian flag should light those sails. What would you say to that?
Well,
in recognition of the many thousands that have been killed in Gaza.
I think it'd be better if they were lit up now in the colours of peace and hope. We've reached a point now where hopefully the war can end, where the hostages will come home, the families of the hostages can begin to heal, and I think we as a society can as well. I think we shouldn't underestimate the permanent damage done by these protesters to our social cohesion over 2 years of relentless incitement against our community. This won't be easily undone, but hopefully we're at a point now where we can move forward and heal as a nation.
So that's a no, you don't think it should happen?
I think there's a far better way. I don't think this is the time to project the Palestinian flag, certainly not. I think perhaps some gesture of unity to show that we've moved forward to a new era, maybe that would be appropriate, but certainly not the Palestinian flag.
Alex, there's calls for the IDF to be listed as a terrorist organisation. Would that increase anti-Semitism?
Any other questions from mainstream media, guys? Do we have any other questions from the mainstream
answer for
media?
That, Alex?
No, it's a ridiculous question.
Do we have any other questions from the mainstream media, guys? Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Mainstream media.
I have not had time to for you again. I think that guy is like a fixer for them. I'm not really sure what he does, but anyway, that's the end of it now.
The army of sovereign state.
What about Tommy? It killed Zombie Frank, the Australian citizen.
We're deeply indebted to the IDF and to its heroes. And,
heroes committing war crimes daily, hourly basis.
I told you what I think. I think they're heroes, and we salute them and we draw strength from them. Thank you.
This is it. I'm Israel High. What does that mean?
Long live Israel.
Good stuff. What about Palestine?
Long live every person living in peace in the state of Israel.
All right, so that's a wrap, I think. I don't think there's any more. So it's a bit of congratulating and handshaking and hugging, and so that'll be a wrap for them, and it'll move on now to no one else. I don't think there's nobody. I think the camera crews are packing up. The media is done their bit for the day. Bit of handshaking with the media. Yeah, it's anyhow, not for me to comment. This is Sky News. It's ready to do a cast. Reason from 7's Mr. Reason, and that's kind of it. I think that's it. We're done. Well, it's no use me just standing around filming the last little bit, but all right, I'll call that a day. I think, or show it. Yes, we shall. All right. I'm not sure the fellow what his role is, but it seems to be like a kind of a fixer. An intermediary between the media and the groups. Anyway, all right, that's it, done.